Welcome into a special edition, our first ever live episode. You're watching Target Score Winnipeg Live. I'm Joey Slattery. That is Taylor Allen. If you're not following us already, make sure you're giving us a follow on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Target Score Podcasts and Target Score Pod at Target Score Pod on Instagram, at Taylor Allen 31, at Joey Slattery TV on Instagram. Welcome in, Tay. This is fun. Our first ever live stream. I got to make sure that we're going live on all the avenues here. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, you and I had a few different ideas for guests today, Joey, but I think everyone's busy. You know, they're out there on the streets celebrating because it's a big day today, Joey. It's your birthday, so everyone is out there celebrating. You'd think that they'd want to celebrate with you doing your podcast, but whatever. As long as they're out there celebrating in some capacity, well, I'm sure you'll take that. Happy birthday.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I thought you were going to say it's because the NSL's coming to Winnipeg. That was the big announcement this morning that I was pretty excited about. For those of you that don't know what the NSL is, it's the Northern Super League, the women's professional soccer league here in Canada that's absolutely been blowing up. Desiree Scott and Robert Gale, the former coach of Valor FC, the men's pro team that was here for a bunch of years, leading that charge. So congratulations to them. They'll be getting started in 2027. So pretty exciting news here on a Tuesday. And yeah, here we are just trying to bury ourselves into the news with our first ever live episode, which, to be fair, this has been the whole thing, though, Tay, with these live episodes. It's when do we do it? Should we do it? And then it's like a last minute decision. Like last night, we're like, yeah, go live. Okay, we'll do it. So, put a few graphics out on Instagram and tried to get about a half an hour before the show started. So for those that are tuning in live, appreciate you coming aboard. For those of you tuning in on the replay, it's great to have you on board as normal. And this will also be, if you can't stay for the whole show, it will be posted on YouTube and as an audio file as normal. But last time we spoke, Tay, it was looked like it was going to be a solid homestand from the Winnipeg Sea Bears, which to a degree, I guess it was. But 1-1 at home is not something we're used to seeing with the Winnipeg Sea Bears. They took care of business. And your color commentary debut, we didn't even get to that yet. Your color commentary debut, you and I got to call a game for the first time. It felt like the Target Score Altcast going off where we were just talking basketball. But that was a lot of fun. And you were there for a win. It was the Edmonton Stingers in town for that one. Then there was the national game on Sunday, and we'll get to that in a little bit. It was a surprising loss, a bit of a weird game through and through. But how did you enjoy your first experience behind the mic, at the table, being courtside? I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it with you, but how was the experience for you now that you had a few days to let it settle?
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true, right? Like it was awesome. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do it. And, it was kind of funny. Like all week to be brutally honest, I was really stressed and kind of nervous, right? It's like, yeah, I haven't done this in forever. Like I used to call some Bison's basketball games back in the day, but like it's been a while. Then of course this is pro hoops, right? This is a whole different animal and whatnot. So I was like, okay, like I'm pretty nervous here. But then what? Honestly, once the red light went on and we got started, it was like, you know what? I'm just sitting next to my pal Joey Slattery. We're just talking about a basketball game. We do this every week, right? So kind of the nerves went away pretty quickly. Even though in the first 2 minutes, though, I butchered your name somehow. I've never mispronounced Joey in my entire life. And your wife thought I said Jimmy, but I actually, I'm going to be honest, I said Jewy.
Okay, thank you.
Which is even worse. So
that's what I heard. Like in the moment, I was like, "Oh, that's fine." Like it happens. I've had that happen to me so many times in whether it's a live broadcast, like a play-by-play, or even when I was working in news, where you mispronounce a name, it just kind of comes out. Like Tuller or like Taylor, whatever, right? Like those happen. But when she said Jimmy, I was like, "Did he actually say Jimmy? That's awesome." Yeah. Jimmy Slats, that's going to be my alter ego going forward.
Yeah, no, not good. It was like, you know what? Okay, I like, you're a rookie, right? You're supposed to, make one mistake early on. So, okay, that was the mistake. Let's get over it and move forward. And I like to think that I did. But yeah, it was awesome, man.
That's okay. That's the thing, though, Taylor. Those things, like, it's better to get it out of the way early, right? It's like I always felt in those times, especially when it's your first time doing something, you're a little more nervous. You kind of want to be perfect, and then when you get that first mistake out of the way, especially when it's like a dumb one, like, you know what I mean, like, it's not like you messed up a stat. It's not like, it was just like in conversation, you can't see it coming. You're not even thinking about that. And sometimes I find when it's that thing you've never thought about that goes wrong, you're like, okay, pressure's off. Like, I got that out of the way, and now we're rolling. But you did a great job on that, and I'm trying to see if I can pull up the clip because we had a good call. I want to see if I can find it while we're talking. And I thought it was like just the perfect cherry on top with your color commentary. And it was on the Teddy Allen game-winning basket. Or not the game-winning basket, the one that would have pulled them within one. Do you remember which play I'm talking about?
Oh, he hits a three in target time, I think, right?
Yeah, and then it was the play. It ended up being the play of the game. I want to see if I can pull it up here because we can play it for everybody if I can find it quickly enough. What the heck? How do you work? Man, technology's hard when you're doing a bunch of things at once. Holy cow! Okay, 1 second here. This is
but yeah, I mean, you made it obviously easy on me as well. I mean, you're a seasoned vet, and I don't know if the Winnipeg market realizes how lucky they are to have a guy like you, Joey. I mean, you're by far one of the best play-by-play guys in the league, man. And it's you make it fun and easy. So no, it was a cool experience all the way around. But I had big shoes to fill because Dave Crook, he's one of the best color guys in the league too. So I don't know how I weaseled my way in there, but I'm glad I did.
Here, 1 sec. This is I'll see if I can get the call going here.
And the Sea Bears are 1 point away from the target score of 95-91. Time out, Edmonton.
You keep this game close. It's in target time. That's Teddy time, Joey.
Coming alive here. He's got.
I said Joey that time.
19 points. Allen shakes his defender. Puts up the three. Yes. Teddy Allen with 33 points, and the Sea Bears are 1 point away from the target score of 95-91. Time out, Edmonton.
You keep this game close. It's in target time. That's Teddy time, Joey.
Coming alive here. He's got 5 rebounds.
That was so good. That's Teddy time, Joey. Perfect cherry on top. That was my favorite call of the entire game. That was the good game. Let's start with that one. Now that we got the call out of the way, but another classic Teddy game. Simon Hildebrandt though in that game really shined. As much as it's kind of Teddy being Teddy, right? We're so used to Teddy Allen putting up the 30 points, and it's not to take away from what he did, but that was one of the best games. I'm not going to go on a limb here and say that it was the best game I've ever seen Simon Hildebrandt play as a Sea Bear, but it was definitely one of his best games. And it was his best game of the season. And it was the secondary scoring with this team sometimes is a rotating role. And I felt like Simon Hildebrandt was ready to answer the toll on this one.
I don't know. I think I'm ready to claim that was Simon's best game. If I'm being honest, I mean, they needed him, right? Like, it was a weird game. No Trayvon Scott, no Trey McGowans. They started with Jeremiah Tillman Jr., but then he decided to get double teed up by the ref and get thrown out of the game before halftime. So yeah, it's kind of like you're looking around here. It's like, okay, it's Teddy buckets in the Canadians here, right? So they needed a guy to step up and be that secondary scorer. And Isaiah Osborne, that wasn't his best night at the office. So yeah, I mean, if Simon didn't go off for 21 points, I mean, there's no way the Seabirds are winning that game. And he's shooting the ball really well, finishing around the rim, dishing the rock. Like he's doing a bunch of great things offensively, and he finished the game as well. So huge game by Simon. It was also cool that Mason Krause, a fellow Bison, he got his first career start too. So the Winnipeg guys, the Bison guys, I mean, their fingerprints were all over that victory, and the Seabirds desperately needed both those guys to come up big, and they did just that. So it was a cool game for Winnipeg fans for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it was a fun game. Like, even just going from our standpoint, like a game to call, like it's it was an entertaining game. We had a little bit of everything. Again, the Jeremiah Tillman Jr. thing was the timing on that was funny too. And this happens from time to time when you're in these games where like in that moment we're talking about how he only had 2 fouls, and then suddenly the double text. Like, even like I watched the game back, and I'd love to hear what was happening, because you can hear. It's funny because we have really good in Winnipeg. We have really good crowd mics, and or like the mics on, not crowd mics, but the mics on the floor, right? So it picks up the squeaks and the swishes, and it can pick up the crowd noise. So if you ever watch the game, you'll hear like it's really crystal clear sometimes, and that's one of my favorite things. And I did it to you a couple times today, right? Where I'll put my arm on you just to be like, let's not talk here, like let's let the crowd take it. And sometimes though, the downfall of that, or maybe not a downfall, depending if some people kind of like it, but you might hear a swear or two coming out, and you can hear him yelling, but I couldn't hear what he said in the broadcast. But it's just like I don't know what flipped him off is what I'm getting at. Not that you want to hear the language, but I wasn't 100% sure like where the frustration was coming from, if it was something that was bugging him all day. Like obviously he wanted a foul call, but it was quick. And I kind of felt bad for him a little bit, because here he had a game where he was going to be in the game for a while. He wasn't in foul trouble early, as he has been in past games. And then when you get the tech, like, and again, I'm not here to like harp on the refs, and I'm not defending, Jeremiah and for what happened, but it was so quick, dude. Like, just give him a T, let him get one more sentence in. But like,
we
can't
like, say
boom,
that
boom.
though, because we don't know what he said.
Fair,
right?
fair. It's just again.
Because if you say the right thing, you deserve a 2-for-1 special on a technical.
For sure.
And see you later, pal.
Doesn't happen too often where it's like you get the T, and usually just like give him a second. But it must have been, that's what I mean. It must have been something. But I was just shocked at the timing of it. Usually it's like you give him a T, give it a second, and then if he's still going, like then tee him up again. But this was like a boom, boom, and I was like, okay, he's gone. Like before I could register the first he was given, he was already given the second tee, right? So, but nonetheless, that was a moment in the game where both of us are thinking like this could be the turning point. Edmonton has had a lot of success in that arena, not this year and towards the end of last year, but there was a time, you go in those first 2 years, where it was like a guaranteed win for Edmonton. Like how many heartbreaks have the Sea Bears and fans endured from Edmonton, including playoff outings, right? Where they're eliminated in the playoffs on home floor. And then this one kind of felt like, here's a team that had won 4 in a row, the Edmonton Stingers, a resurgence. And that win would have been huge for Edmonton, like massively big. And I think the stars were aligning at that point. We're like, well, now you lose your big man, your rim protection, your facilitation in the middle, your rebounding. And then a guy like Simon Hildebrandt steps up and says, hey, I'm going to do a little bit of everything here, right? Particularly the scoring. And last week we had Teddy Allen on the episode. So if you haven't listened to it yet, good interview with Teddy. And we talked about Teddy not having any target score winners. And one of the things that Teddy was talking about in that interview is, well, by that time, I already have 30 plus points normally. And, I know the double teams are coming and even the triple teams. So, I have to find other players. But he said, don't get it wrong. Like, if I need to score that winner, I will score. I will find a way to score that target score winner if need be. And, it's exactly as he said it, right? There was that double team there. He gets the ball to Osborne, and they can't rotate on the third pass. So when you see that pass over to Hildebrandt, by the time the pass got there, Trey King was like a step and a half behind. He was going for the steal. It's all he could do, right? Like they were trying to recover. He blows by Simon Hildebrandt, and then Simon, hits a nice mid-range jump shot. But even that shot was kind of weird because I thought he was going right to the hoop, and then, the help comes. And this is where I think we're noticing the improvements of Simon coming from the NCAA. We talk about the physicality, but one of the things I've noticed too is just the quickness of his release and the quickness of the decision making. There's another 3 in that game where, or this one might have been in the Saskatoon game, but it's another assist from Teddy, and it's a skip pass over to the wing, and he's already in shooting motion. Like he catches the ball right here.
That was against the Stingers at home. Yeah,
and it's almost like it feels like Del Curry. Remember Del Curry, Steph Curry's father? Like when we were in high school,
Raptors legend.
Well, we used to joke around all the time. Like our basketball coach used to be like Del Curry, and it would just be like we would like try to shoot the ball almost before it came in our hands. Like it was like a joke, right? But that's what it was like. It was like it hit his palm, and then it was like boom, gone. And then in this one, like if you watch the replay, and while you're talking, I'll try to pull it up. But like he stops like on a dime, but goes straight up. And I'm thinking like with the momentum and the size that you have to get the shot straight up over your defender and in, like it was was a nice shot to end the game. And it was great to see Simon Hildebrand get a target score winner. I mean, it's just a different energy when Simon is playing well in Winnipeg, obviously, as the local kid, the the Mr. Manitoba, if you will, right? And it was just nice to see him get that and that celebratory, Space Jam. Everything was just kind of lining up. It was a lot of fun in that arena, and to see him get it was just really, really good.
Yeah, Simon deserves endless praise, but I mean, the Edmonton Stingers, they deserve a lot of criticism, Joey. I mean, you've lost 3 straight games to the Winnipeg Sea Bears. You just lost 100-98 on your home court to the Sea Bears. So obviously you're coming into Winnipeg like, okay, we cannot get swept by these guys. We got to stay in this West Division race. Let's be the team that ends this, this home winning streak by the Sea Bears, and let's again not let them sweep us. Let's keep those brooms in the closet, right? And to Edmonton's credit, like they did come out with a lot of energy. Like I thought off the hop, it's like, okay, Edmonton, like they're here to play. Like they're playing like a team that has a chip on their shoulder, and they're tired of what's been happening against the Sea Bears all season long. And then that second half starts, and it's like, okay, well, the Sea Bears are undermanned. There's no excuses now. Like this is a game where Edmonton should be running all over these guys and really taking over. And yet that didn't happen. And yeah, I know they're missing Scotty Lindsay and whatever, but like, so what, man? Like the Sea Bears were so depleted that they had no business winning that game. Like, again, as great as Simon was, as great as Mason was, as great as Teddy was, whatever, like props all those guys. But Edmonton, like, come on. Like that is a bad loss for the Stingers. And I think they know that, because once Simon hit that game winner, I think it was Stanley Davis Jr., that he just looked furious. And it's like, well, dude, yeah, you should be pissed off, because that's the game you guys had really no business losing.
Well, that's it. Like, to your point, I'm just getting this one ready. But to your point, like, yes, you don't have Scotty Lindsay, and you're dealing with a depleted roster yourself, but like there were more Canadians on the floor than like this entire season for Winnipeg, because the imports were gone. You had Trey McGowans, who was out with an injury for that game. You had Trey Scott, who was out for an injury with that game that he had suffered in warmups, right? So then not only is the injury there, but it's like, one, you're not even prepared for. They're going into this thinking, okay, we've got Trey Scott, even though Trey McGowans is out. You're thinking, Trey Scott probably geared up to even start that game if he's not injured, whatever. But then you've got Trey. The Treys are gone. Jeremiah Tillman Jr. is ejected for 2 techs. You've got Teddy Allen, who's on fire and taking care of everything really offensively. And then you had DJ Burns, right? They had to go depth. Like Kyler Filowich also had a good game in this one. Kyler Filowich had some big field goals for Winnipeg, and for a guy who hadn't played, I was impressed with him too, because he hasn't played much this year. And then when he was called upon, he had 2 early fouls, so I was kind of like, it's the foul sometimes can get to him and eat into the little playing time he already has. But then he started clicking a little bit and getting some big buckets and playing well defensively for Winnipeg. But when those guys are on the floor, if you're Edmonton, man, like you just got to win. At the end of the day, there are no excuses, and you're both depleted. But hey, man, like you still have got a great roster. And I know Mason Bercier wasn't there either. But when the game's that close and you're in a playoff race, you got to find a way to win those. Because if you would have won 5 in a row, you're now the talk of the league. Like you're skying up the power rankings. Now you're the team that everybody's looking at, which is kind of Calgary now. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, no, I was shocked. I think that one stings. I think pardon the pun, but I think that's the big sting loss for the Stingers this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and now they basically have no chance of coming back and having a chance to get one of those top 2 seeds in the West. I mean, they still could, I guess, but like it's not very likely. So, yeah, I mean, going into the game, I asked Jordan Baker about it, like whether or not he's really harping on the fact that they were 0-3 against Winnipeg, and he's like, no, that's not important and whatever. And Nick Hornsby kind of said the same thing. It's like, and I was kind of surprised a little bit. I kind of thought like, okay, like I kind of thought not that you need more motivation. Like I think in the media world, we kind of use that word a bit too much, like, and chip on your shoulder. Like it's pro sports. These people are always motivated, right? They always have a chip on their shoulder. There's always something to prove. I just kind of thought like they would really be rallying around that a little bit more. And they really, at least while talking to me after their pregame shoot around, they really downplayed it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know. You guys are pros, I'm not, I guess, but I just kind of thought that they would kind of use that more as something to rally around, and they didn't, and maybe that played a factor. I don't know, Joey, but yeah, like we said, a very, very tough loss for the Stingers, and just for the Sea Bears, though. I mean, Edmonton was 3-1 against them last year, and this year they're 4-0 against the Stingers. So obviously a hell of a turnaround by the Sea Bears in just year one under Mike Rainbow.
Yeah, I just want to pull up I don't think they're going to have the replay on it, but I'm bringing up this last play. This is the Simon Hildebrandt winner. We were just talking about, the shot, this decision making on the shot for Simon here. But yeah, so he goes into Teddy, draws that double team, right? And they're all worried about Teddy. Then there's the jump. Trey King's a little late, but here's the right here. Boom. To hit that shot in the moment and the quickness of the adjustment, because I don't think he was thinking shot there. I think he was thinking, I'm going to the rim, and then that help came a little faster than he would have that he was expecting. And I thought he did a wonderful job of getting that.
Can you rewind it to when Teddy has the ball in the corner and he's double teamed? I'm kind of
1 second
testing
here.
our tech
Hold on, we just went
here on the fly.
It went to our episode. Here we go. Here, okay. So where do you want it?
When Mason crosses a center court, he gives the ball to Teddy, and then Teddy's getting double teamed. Hold it there when it gets there. So here, I thought Mason had crossed. Here we go. Okay. There we go. Yeah.
Right here,
and then gives it to Teddy. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Okay. Now hold. Okay. Let it go a little bit. Okay. And stop. So who's guarding Isaiah Osborne right now? Is that Stanley Davis Jr.?
I think that's Stanley Davis Jr., yeah.
So why is he not following Isaiah? I get it. I know he's close to the logo, like he's not going to shoot from there or whatever, but Teddy's in deep doo-doo right there, right? Like he's double teamed. There's nowhere for him to dribble the ball. He's stuck in the corner, and Stanley Davis Jr. kind of allows him this easy pass in a way, right, to Isaiah Osborne, and that's what sets up, the entire play to Simon. Where if he would have followed, Isaiah up there and was really guarding him, that's like, hey, what does Teddy do from there? Like he would have been pretty hooped, right? So 1 second of kind of just losing track of the situation and your man. I mean, that kind of led to the game-winning basket for the Sea Bears.
Well, here it is. So I'll try to do this in a way that we can see. So here's the play developing. Teddy just gets the ball right here. So this is the freeze frame. So the pass was made for Mason. So here he's got one-on-one. Everybody's still playing man. Believe that's Trey King that's stepping over into the key for help side, right? So here's the double team. Then you got Tay Donald coming in. He's still with Isaiah, but he's giving him, he's not face guarding him by any stretch. Stepping back. Here's the double team. The cut from Mason this is a big cut from Mason because it draws Trey King further over to the side. And see the open, you can see. This is where Simon's like, hey, I'm wide open here. Like, look at my lane. So this is where you're talking about. So this is the exact moment where, and it's the cut from Mason, right? Because Mason comes in, and then Simon is now left unchecked. So he's coming down here because he doesn't know where the ball's going. So it's enough of confusion here that now Teddy's in trouble, but Isaiah, to his credit, coming over to make that easy angle of a pass. So now he's got to come out, but he knows that Simon's wide open. Right. And then that's where the breakdown comes in. Boom, boom. Tay Donald comes down, but he's a little late, and there's a big size advantage there. And so honestly, it looks like a helter-skelter play at first, but credit to the Sea Bears. That's a really good play that they've drawn up there. But it all, give credit to Mason Krause, and I think we don't give him enough credit for his IQ, of what he was able to do with that simple screen. But it creates a lot of havoc for Winnipeg, rather, the Sea Bears here. I'm just going to we'll just go through it one more time at full speed.
And Stanley Davis, I guess he was kind of stuck in no man's land because Simon was behind.
Well, that's it, right?
So if he follows Isaiah, then, but that would have been a pretty tough pass for Teddy to sling it over to Simon down low, But
that's the thing. You got to protect the basket. He's kind of trying to guard two guys at once, and that is the trap with the double team, right? And this is where Teddy understands the gravity that he talks about. Everybody's focused on Teddy at this point. Even him at that point, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to Isaiah or Simon, but also we have to keep an eye on Teddy. So that's the gravity Teddy talks about, and we'll just watch it follow through here. And he's waiting for that drive. He's closing out well back with a lot of gap, but no, it's a great play from the Sea Bears to get that done.
Good offense beats good defense, Joey.
Yeah. Oh, look, Yeah, we are live show. Hey, if you're in watching this show live and in the comments, if you want, ask some questions. We can go with that too. This is a fun thing. We've got I think this is Cam, and he's like, yeah, we told the ref to.
That'll
So that
do
was
it.
the Jeremiah
That
Tillman
will
thing.
do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. But nonetheless, man, this is it was a good game in Edmonton. But as we flip over to the Calgary game. So the Calgary game was it was strange for me because I was doing the sidelines for CBC on that one, and it was a lot of fun. It's an afternoon game. It was hot. It was humid. I know we're inside in an air-conditioned building, but man, I was sweating like through my jacket. It was you could feel the humidity in there. It was so gross. It was 50 degrees when that show or when the game started, like with the Humidex. So as much as it's air conditioned and everything else, it's tough because people are coming in. There's a ton of people that are there. They're bringing in the humidity with them. It was the floor was wet. I mean, I don't know how many times we saw guys slip and fall, and they were trying to mop up the floor as best they could. And the flow of the game, Taylor, just it was a weird one. Like Winnipeg in that first half are winning all the battles, right? Those 50-50 battles. Jeremiah Tillman was playing great. I think they had 11 offensive boards in the first half. I think they finished with 18. But they were winning those battles and they were making it hard on Calgary. They had a lead going into halftime. I don't know what happened at halftime. They come back out third quarter. You kind of think, all right, they've got their footing. They should kind of roll through Calgary. Calgary again, last place in the West, but they had won 2 games back-to-back in Vancouver and at home against Vancouver. So they'd won at home, they'd won on the road. And I want to put a little pretext to this. I'm not trying to defend the loss by any stretch, but Calgary came into this one 2 wins. They only had 3 on the season, but their 3 wins at that point were the first loss of the year for Brampton, back-to-back against Vancouver, who are in second place in the West, and a little bit of urgency. And I know they have guys that are gone to summer league, but let's be clear, Vancouver is always a threat, and they're always one of the best teams. They were riding high. Then you add the Armani Chaney aspect to this, and and I talked to him before the game, and he's telling me, it's just another game, and I'm like, it's not just another game. Like it's
never is.
We know Armani Chaney enough that he has a chip on his shoulder, and here's a guy that just the role was diminishing a little bit with the imports coming in. And he decided, but the team and him decided we're going to part ways. He goes and signs with Calgary, and then he's back. And, because he wasn't here last time Calgary was in town. He went and that's the other thing. Let's give some credit to former Seabear Armani Chaney. They've got now 4 wins with him in the lineup. They started the season 0-10. He hit the first target score winner in his first game. He paid for his own flight, Taylor, to get to Calgary so we can play in that game, that first game with Calgary, and hits the target score winner against Brampton. Then he comes in here. 4 guys scored in double figures. I don't even know if there were 4 Seabears in double figures. There was 3 Seabears in double figures that game. But he comes in, leads the charge in scoring. And Dave DeViro, the head coach of Calgary, said that's the biggest thing he brings that they were desperately needing. They didn't have speed at the point guard position, and they didn't have scoring, and particularly shooting beyond the arc. This was a team that was the worst team shooting beyond the arc before Armani got there, and they've added a few more pieces since then. But now this is a team that is above average beyond the arc. And Armani Chaney, I've said Armani Chaney's biggest struggles for his size is inside. He's not the best when he gets into the key, but his shooting when he's on is lethal. The other thing that I've noticed with Calgary is he's built a chemistry with Javonte Brown. Like when he's going into the basket and he's driving to the basket, Javonte Brown's nearby, and they connect. Like I'm not saying that it's always an alley-oop, but there's just he's got that confidence in Javonte Brown that I think opens up his confidence inside as well. But he was playing at another level. 21 points. I think that's a season high. Could be wrong, but I believe that was a season high. And then he hit the target score winner. But that target score time was weird, man. Like they had that inadvertent horn. There was a bunch of stoppages because of the floor and everything else. Like the rhythm of the game was weird. I talked to, and we'll talk about this in the pregame live show tomorrow, but Mike Rainbow, when I talked to him yesterday, was saying that, the rhythm was weird. It was just a weird game. He wasn't impressed with how his team played. That third quarter is where they lost the game. They allowed 36 points.
to 16,
Yeah.
Joey. 36 to 16. How does that happen? I know it's a Sunday afternoon and it's hot, and you're coming off of this really exciting game against Edmonton, and maybe it's a bit harder to get up for the Calgary Surge, and just seeing where they're at in the standings and whatever. But to allow the Calgary Surge to blow you out 36 to 16 in that third quarter, how does that happen? That was probably the worst quarter of basketball that the Sea Bears played this season, honestly. And to their credit, they made it a game at the end. They almost got away with it, but honestly, and yeah, there was some shenanigans in that target time and whatever. But honestly, the Sea Bears didn't deserve to win. They did not deserve to win that game. They did not look their best. They looked nothing like a team that just beat Edmonton, even though they had their big guns back. Right? It's really that was what happened to the team we just saw play the Stinger shorthanded. Now you have all this more talent, on the roster readily available, and it just didn't come out to play. And 80 points. I mean, the Sea Bears team has been so electric on offense, and no, you can't play lights out every game, but just offensively, they just really kind of struggled to get into a rhythm and whatnot as well. And again, I know all the factors that you mentioned and stuff, but just what the heck? And then they were bound to lose at home at some point. It would be cool, to go a perfect 12-0 or whatever at home. That's pretty unrealistic. It's not going to happen. So it's not a big deal, but yeah, Joey, I mean, this was a tale of two very, very, very different games for sure. And yeah, Armani Chaney, I mean, that's one of the best things about this league is that every summer there's guys who start the summer with whatever team, and then they kind of just lose their job because the new guys are coming in and whatever, and then a different team picks them up, and it's okay, well, a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever it's been, you got a chance to stick it to that team that got rid of you, right? And Armani, he says all the right things, going into the game that just another game, whatever. But of course it isn't, right? And it's not that he hates the Sea Bears or Winnipeg or has anything against them. I mean, the Sea Bears, they made the right move, as great as Armani is. I mean, they got Trey McGowan's and whatever, right? They didn't need Armani Chaney anymore. But for Armani Chaney, what an awesome opportunity for him to come back to Winnipeg and be you know what? Yeah, I'm going to stick it to you guys. And that's what he did. So yeah. Tough loss for the Sea Bears. Again, not a massive deal, but I mean, just considering how well they've been playing at home and just the exciting win, the win that they just came off of, you would like to see them take care of business against a team like Calgary. But you're right. Now that the Calgary Surge have Armani Chaney, I mean, you can't really get distracted by their bad record. They are a better team than what their record says, and they're still not a ton of time, but there is some time for those guys to maybe climb a tiny bit in the standings. You never know. But props to Calgary though, because they were, I wrote them off. I think it was on our last episode or 2 episodes ago. I said, well, we don't need to talk about the Calgary Surge ever again. Ha ha ha. And well, we just spent the past 10 minutes talking about them, and rightfully so.
Well, here's the thing, and Cam just said Teddy wasn't himself, only 21 points, and it's true. And I think the biggest disappointment is no one really stepped up in this game, to help Teddy out. We're just watching the highlights here of target score, but the missed foul shots, that's the other thing, right? They had missed how many opportunities to win the game at the stripe. There's one of the misses there for Calgary. So the opportunities were there, Tay, for Winnipeg to take it out, to win the game. And even at that time, I don't know if you can see it here before we get to the Chaney one, but Chaney's telling guys, chirping with the fans, telling them to sit down, game's over. And then they don't win the game, right? It sets up heroics for him. But I think this is the shot here. Takes the screen. Oh, yeah. And picture perfect. And then the wave goodbye. I mean, you can't help but feel good for Armani Chaney. It's not great for the Sea Bears, obviously, but Armani Chaney came in here on a mission. That has to feel really good for him. But yeah, I don't think it was under preparation. I mean, this is a team that's pretty prepared. They don't tend to take things, they're a possession by possession team. I don't think you can lean too much into it. You're not going to win every game, and I think part of me, if I'm going to put a silver lining to it, Tay, you don't have to worry about staying undefeated at home anymore. You know what I'm saying? You got the loss. Now you got to go on the road. you have a chance for redemption against Calgary in Calgary. But first, you have a stop in Saskatoon, which you haven't won there this year yet either. They're 2-1 against Saskatoon. I think the bigger thing with the Saskatoon game is if you win that, you take away any tiebreakers. And that's kind of where the Sea Bears are. If they win, they get into the playoffs and they punch their ticket officially. But beyond that, they've got the tiebreaker with Calgary. They've swept the season series with Edmonton, so they have that tiebreaker. You can take this tiebreaker with Saskatoon. So now you're just really worried about Vancouver and the way Vancouver's been playing recently with guys gone to Summer League. And who knows who comes back to Vancouver? That's what I'm waiting to see, right? Like, does Mitch Creek come back? I hear they have another big NBA experience signing coming in, an import. That should be announced soon. So, but then again, like for Winnipeg, like I think there's a big import signing coming in down the pipe here too. I know people listening are wondering, Xavier Moon, so are we. This is a saga that just kind of keeps going.
The clock is ticking.
The clock, but that's the thing.
Tick tock.
The clock is ticking. They put out a release that they said by early this week, and I imagine it'll be in the next day or two because they play on Wednesday tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of clarity there before then. But at the end of the day, like, how many games have they played? Do I have the standings here? So the Sea Bears have played 17 games. And you've got to play 5 to qualify for the playoffs. If he doesn't play on this road trip, he literally has to play out the rest of the season, right? Because it'll be games 18 and 19 being played. Oh, no, you have to play in the Sunday game, the Calgary game. So, yeah, you've got to play. He has like one game to burn here. And if they can't get it figured out in the next couple of days, then it's kind of a no harm, no foul in the sense that, again, like he's not holding out. I got a couple of messages early, like questioning if it's Xavier Moon, and it's not Xavier Moon. Like, if there's nobody that wants to play more right now than Xavier Moon. The Sea Bears, I think, have done a wonderful job at being able to continue on without making this a distraction. I know Mike Rainbow has been kind of treating practices as he's an elite guy to help with, he's integrated, he's ready to go, but he's also pushing these guys, right? He's an elite defender too. So, you're getting essentially an elite practice player. They're doing the best they can, but they're also preparing to be without him. And, so there's a signing coming down in the next few days, if maybe today, I have no idea. But if all goes well, I think they're going to get their insurance on it. And, but they want Xavier Moon to play. Both parties want to play. This is Zenit, the Russian team that he played for, needs to be released. Joe Razzo had a great breakdown of it on the CBC broadcast, that essentially with the way FIBA works is you need the Russian Federation and the team that he plays for in Russia to sign off on him to be able to play for his next team, which is the Sea Bears. It's a little weird because he signed with the Sea Bears first. So again, I don't know if it's because he didn't play, but you would imagine that there would be some sort of rule that the Sea Bears would have to allow him to play, and it's not being reciprocated. It's very complicated contractual stuff. And I don't think, like, if it doesn't work this year, I would imagine it works next year. I wouldn't, as long as everything's clarified beforehand. You feel bad for the team. They were banking on this guy. They put a lot of marketing into this guy, and if it doesn't pan out, it's too bad. But give credit to the Sea Bears, man. He's been there. Everybody's been wanting to play. All the guys have been talking about how much better they're going to be with him, and they've still strung together those wins up until the last home game. So Xavier Moon, time's ticking, but a decision has to be made, and we'll see what happens from there. But I feel for him. I feel for the team, and hopefully it all works out. But I think the Sea Bears are prepared to go on without him. And if he's suddenly ready, they're going to integrate him, and it'll be, I think he'll be ready to go. But at this point, you certainly cannot be banking on it. This is a really, really weird situation.
Yeah, this had the potential to be a really, really, really frustrating season for the Sea Bears. I mean, could you imagine if they put all their chips in the Xavier Moon basket, right? And then just this whole time, it's like, okay, well, maybe next week we'll get him. Maybe next week he'll get cleared. Maybe next week. And let's say they had a losing record right now. It's like, oh my goodness, like this would be like the biggest story. And even now, it's still a big story, of course. But I mean, just the fact that they've had guys like Trey McGowan's, guys like Armani Chaney early on in the season, really hold down the fort at the guard spot. It's like, obviously these guys aren't Xavier Moon, but they're still really good players, and they've still allowed this team to be where they're at right now. And of course, Teddy Allen playing even better than he was the last time he was in Winnipeg when he was an MVP, was made up for Moon's absence as well. So if they can get Xavier Moon back, or even get him in the first place, I should say, what a massive boost at a great time of year, right? Just a few more games before playoffs, like really give them some time to really kind of assimilate to the team and whatever. Like that would be massive. But on the flip side of that, if they don't get them, it's like, okay, well, they've proven that they could beat any team in this league, hang with any team in this league, and that they're a contender. So either way, like the Sea Bears are in pretty good shape, but of course they would very, very, very happily take Xavier. And I think if Xavier does get allowed to play, in the coming days or whatever, I think he's gonna come out of the gates firing. Like every practice that I've been at so far, I mean, he stays late. He's getting after it. Like he's jacking up shots. He's working with assistant coaches. Like he's doing everything that he can, at least that I can tell, to stay in shape and stay game ready. So I don't think it'll be I don't think it would take much time for Xavier Moon to really fit in with this team whatsoever.
Not at all. And I know the league wants him there too. I mean, this is your, the most decorated guy in league history. So, but just wanted to take a look, bring up the standings here. The looking in the East again, Scarborough 14-3. They seem to be rolling. They lost to Niagara again. See, like the East is a lot closer. We won't get too much into it right now. I think we could save this for the next episode, but I will leave the cliffhanger of, I think of all the teams here that I look at from the East and the West, the team most primed for an upset in the playoffs is Scarborough. They've lost some clunkers to Ottawa and Niagara now. Who else did they lose to? Off the top of my head, I can't remember who the third loss is to, but anyway, Niagara is now 7-10. This looking at the Blackjacks, those bottom three, I shouldn't say that, from 2 to 5, I don't know what the playoff structure is going to look like. It's getting to the point now in the East where, Brampton at 9-8 and Niagara at 7-10. A couple games going the other way, and suddenly Brampton could be out of a playoff spot. It is an absolutely wild race in the East. In the West, again, there was a good chance for Winnipeg to have some separation after those 2 Vancouver losses. Vancouver responded with a win of their own in the next game that they played. So it's just a half-game lead for the Sea Bears, right? Again, can't get too comfortable. Whether you're, you've got a couple of games and, you can't be too panicked if you fall behind. Vancouver with 1 win and 1 Winnipeg loss gets us right back into the race for the top 2 teams. But then again, you can't count out Saskatoon 3.5 games back, but they've got 2 games in hand on Vancouver, 1 game in hand on the Winnipeg Sea Bears. And I should point that out too. The game in hand is huge for Winnipeg as well, having 1 extra game on the schedule, but they both have 11 wins. Edmonton at 7-10 and Calgary at 4-13. Now, Calgary has strung together 3 wins. Their next game is against Winnipeg. So they have a good opportunity here in that game against Winnipeg because Winnipeg has 1 stop in between, and Winnipeg's on like a legacy run right now in terms of like it can make or break it. When you look at their schedule, they've got here, I'll just share this screen here. So they play tomorrow night at Merlis Belcher too, a place they've never played in. This is the new arena for Saskatoon where from what I understand, what I've seen on TV too, it's a much different atmosphere there. It's a lot more fun, a lot more intimidating to play than SaskTel. Then they go to Calgary on Friday to play the Surge one more time, and then on Sunday they Montreal comes here. So they've got 3 games this week and travel between every game. Like legit, you go Wednesday, then you got to travel Thursday, then you got to play Friday, then you got to travel Saturday, and then you got to play Sunday afternoon at 3:00. This is a tough stretch for the Sea Bears. And this is where, here's the thing. If they can go 2-1, I think that is a super successful 3-game stint here, just with the travel. You have to beat Saskatoon. I think that's the game you have to win. Beat Saskatoon, making sure that you're not making this a 3-horse race. Give yourself a little bit of pad with either you're keeping pace or giving yourself some pad with Vancouver. And then you go to Calgary, again, redemption game. But again, Calgary not a threat yet in any kind of playoff way for the Sea Bears in terms of like their positioning of head-to-head. And then that Montreal game, Montreal's good, dude. That's what I'll say about Montreal. Montreal is a team that has been kind of floating under the radar between them and Ottawa. I think those are 2 teams to look out for in the East. That's why I say Scarborough could be primed for an upset between those 2 teams in Niagara, particularly. I think they can, in a 1-game scenario, Anything could happen. Those teams are dangerous. But for me, it's that Saskatoon game. I think this is the most important game of the road trip. Get off on the right foot, get a win under your belt, and, then just try to, from there, a little bit of pressure's off. Now you just, they're not, this is me saying this, they're not trying to win just one more game. They want to win all three. But I think from a realistic standpoint, if you could take 2 of those 3 games, that Saskatoon game just being the most, in terms of head-to-head matchups, the most important. But take a little pressure off, get 1 win under your belt, and then just go into Calgary and do what they did to you at home.
And Vancouver is a team that I'm going to be watching closely down the stretch. I mean, they lose their head coach, Kyle Julius, who, he was part of that debacle in Winnipeg with that fan, a little while back. And now he's took a job in China, and he's still the GM of the Vancouver Bandits. And he was actually on the Target Score Vancouver podcast the other day. So you can check that episode out if you haven't already. But it'll be intriguing to see where the Bandits go from here as well. I mean, despite the fact that we're this far into the season, there's still a lot of questions about a few of these teams here, Joey. So it's gonna go down to the wire. And of course, if you're the Sea Bears, you've proven how much you take advantage of playing at home, right? So I mean, you want that number 1 seed. You want to be playing playoff basketball at home, and you can only imagine what the Canada Life Center, what the vibe would be like there for a playoff game. So. And let's not forget, the Sea Bears team is still searching for that first playoff win in franchise history too. So it would be a real disappointment for this team to, have such a great run, so many great stories about this team, and then kind of falter at the end and settle for the number 2 spot in the West. So yeah, Joey, I mean, buckle up, man. I mean, this next week or two is going to be pretty crazy.
Well, you look at, so this year, it's funny, Tyler Penner, who I'm surprised hasn't been on yet on the comments, but, he's making fun of me last live show because the post-game show, I kept saying the play-in game. Well, it's not called the play-in game this year. It's the conference quarterfinals. Then it's the conference semifinals, conference finals, and then the final best of 3 series. And for Vancouver to go over their 6 games here. So the last time, the reason why I go 6, last time they played the Sea Bears. So they beat the Sea Bears at home, 94-88. And then they they lost to Edmonton. This was a big one because it was a 1-point loss to Edmonton. This is where Edmonton started rolling. Then they lose to Calgary. So they lose 2 in a row to the 2 Alberta teams. And then they bounce back with a win to Saskatoon. And then they fall again to Calgary. And then they beat Edmonton was the team that they beat there last time. But in that stretch, I mean, they lost 3 of 4 games to teams that were below them in the standings. And, then they win that big game against Edmonton. Again, another one where Edmonton kind of, they just lost momentum. But this is the CEBL. Like, you can win 4 or 5 and then, lose 2. And it's like the 5 never happened. Right. And last year, if you remember, Edmonton had a 6-game win streak to creep into that then called play-in game, now the conference quarterfinals. So yeah, you got a lot to keep an eye on there, but Vancouver is in control of their own destiny to an extent. I mean, you just got to win out your games. Oh, I should have actually, hold on. Let's go see their next games before we kind of wrap this up here. 1 sec. So you look at their next games. They've got Montreal on the Friday. So Montreal on the road too. They'll be heading back east when they play Toronto or Winnipeg. And then, so they've got Montreal, Calgary, and then Winnipeg. That's the 3rd meeting between the Sea Bears and Vancouver. That'll be on the Thursday. Mamba Alliance again on the road. And then they finish off at home. The last game of the CBL season will be against Winnipeg at home. But they're on the road for a big portion of this with no consecutive home games. So, yeah, that's a tough one too with the travel. You take that into account, but yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Vancouver. And the thing with Vancouver, again, I know they've got a signing coming down the pipe. That'll be a big time import signing. If Mitch Creek comes back, I mean, it just changes everything. And then to put a bow on that, get into the playoffs, you have the right roster and you're peaking at the right time. None of this matters. It's a 1-game playoff every game until you get to the finals. And then you've got to win 2, and you have 3 opportunities to do so. So just get the guys you need to in the process. And this is the whole thing with the Sea Bears too. If Xavier Moon's not ready to go and is not going to play those 5 games, you got to move quickly, get that other guy in. Again, anticipating there'll be an import signing announcement coming up in the next little bit. And, I think that'll be a little insurance for Xavier Moon. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is, you just got to get through. Right now, the most important thing for Winnipeg is securing home court advantage. And if you get a little help in the East and take away any, I don't want to think too far ahead, but just looking at a championship scenario, if Scarborough gets through right now, it looks like they would get the home advantage. So they would get the championship game, so to speak. It'd be games 2 and 3. So the games that the trophy is going to be presented, but that's out of your control. You can't control the East. Right now, what you got to do is win the games here and ensure that you win the West, because as we've seen, take out the anomaly of Sunday against Calgary, this is a much different team at home. And to get home advantage, and think about this, Taylor, if they get into the playoffs, I mean, we're talking capacity crowds, right? Playoff charged. We've seen the whiteout parties, with Winnipeg, the Jets. That is, we've seen what happens at Bombers games when the deeper they get into the playoffs and the passion that comes with it. Playoff sports hits different in Winnipeg, and if they can get home advantage for those games, I'm telling you, with each win and each next game, I anticipate that to be each game to be the loudest crowd we've ever heard moving forward. Again, this team has never won a playoff game. They win that first playoff game. The excitement going into the semifinals, the finals, because they would get the bye to the quarter semi. Yeah, I'd have to double check, but either way, they get to the semis and then they get to the finals. Like that conference final game would be wild if they have that on home court, and it would be a tough place to play for anybody. So if you're Winnipeg right now, clinch that playoff spot and then just make sure that you're ahead in the standings of everybody else. And those 2 Vancouver games are going to be key. That's next Thursday here in Winnipeg, and then they finish the season in Vancouver. And that last game of the year might be a playoff-like game, because that might be the game that decides who gets home court advantage if those 2 are to play again.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. Lots of things to follow down the stretch here for sure. But before we put a bow on this, anything else we need to discuss? I think we've covered all Sea Bears spaces. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else, Joey, that we need to dive into.
I mean, I think we're good. I think I hit everything that I wanted to.
No Jaylen Brown. You didn't want to talk about the Jaylen. You thought I was going to let you get away with not talking about Jaylen Brown. This happened weeks ago.
It's my birthday.
I've been waiting. That's okay. That's okay. I've been waiting these past few episodes to try to finagle a way to get some Jaylen Brown trade.
So you wait this was weeks ago, and you wait until my birthday to tell me to bring this up. This is your birthday gift to old Joe.
I never said I was a nice guy, Joey. I never said that. When you were looking for a co-host, I didn't put that on the resume. You didn't ask, so that's on you. You should have fact checked. Should have done a background check, and clearly you did not. So we won't give it much time. But just we'll give you 60 seconds here to have the floor. Just Jaylen Brown, for those that don't know, from Joey Slattery's Boston Celtics, was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that knocked them out of the playoffs. Get that. For a bag of chips, a half-eaten banana. What else was in the trade? Oh, Paul George. Whatever. Yeah, I think that was it, right?
Listen, first off, you are a villain. Second off, Jaylen Brown doesn't even want to be a Philadelphia 76er. I am absolutely loving his tie to Boston. He was done dirty. Jaylen Brown never got the full extent of the love that he should have got. It was always around doubt. He was always second fiddle. Even the season that he had last year, I said from the get-go that was not a team that was going to win a championship, right? And I didn't think I thought they'd get into the playoffs. I did not think they'd be fighting for the first in the Eastern Conference heading into it. And that's all because of Jaylen Brown. What I will never understand, and now here I'll also preface this by saying I do trust in Brad Stevens, though in this trade it's waning a little bit. I didn't like the Vooch trade. I didn't think he was a good Celtic. And now you're trading away a franchise player. You got some picks with it. Paul George, whatever, man. I hope he finds his vintage Paul George. I'm not banking on it. And then I'm wondering, is there a bigger plan here? I know there's a lot of things about the ownership and trying to skirt the costs and the tax apron, blah, blah, blah. That's not how you do it, in my opinion. And then the way that Jaylen Brown's been acting, I know he's been taking a lot of criticism, but to me, it just emphasizes how important it was for him to be a Celtic and how deeply tied to that organization he was. If you thought the Celtics were tough, or sorry, the Sixers were tough in the playoffs this year, if they meet him again with Jaylen Brown there, I would say look out for the sweep, because I don't want to see that motivated Jaylen Brown. And if that first game Jaylen Brown plays at the Garden, he might go off for 70 points. He is one of my favorite players. It sucks to let him go. The worst part is that he went to the Sixers. Not only did they eliminate him in the playoffs, but that's like one of the biggest Eastern Conference rivals to the Boston Celtics. And they are in the division, so I'm going to see him play a lot against the Celtics. I don't know why you would make that trade. This all started with Giannis rumors, and to be fair, I thought he'd be okay if he came back, because the Giannis thing, it's like, well, we didn't trade you, but at least we were thinking of trading you for one of the best players ever to play the game. Can't be mad with that. Why they forced this trade with the Sixers, I will never understand, other than salary dump. And I hope there's a bigger plan here. The Celtics tend to do that, right? The difference is when they traded Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, you knew they were at the end of their tenure, and they got a ton of picks from Brooklyn, and it set them up and it almost felt like they took it for the team, KG and Paul Pierce, right? They were like, we'll take this. It's better for the team if we get traded. It was still hard at the time, but even at the time, I'm like, okay, like they're on the other side of their peak. Jaylen is at his peak, man. Like the Jays and like Tatum coming back from injury, he'd be fully recovered this year. I don't know. Thanks for ruining my day, man. Thanks for ruining my day.
Well, I didn't mean to ruin your day, but I'm sorry. I figured I'd give you a minute to rant. But I'll shift to something quickly before we get out of here. I meant to bring this up earlier. I'm going to be in Ottawa this weekend, which I'm excited about, for the Bombers Red Blacks game, and hopefully Drew Brown is playing against his old Ottawa team. That'd make it even more fun. But I'm bummed, especially bummed, Joey, to be missing the Sea Bears game on Sunday, because they're bringing some Survivor alum. Now, I know you don't watch Survivor.
I had no idea. Like, you're
so
like,
I'll
oh
be
my
talking
God,
to a wall right here for the next minute.
Or go
two.
for it.
But Winnipeg's own Genevieve. So, Joey, she was on Survivor season 47. Again, a Winnipegger. She's a lawyer from Winnipeg. In the first few episodes, she really wasn't really doing much. She's in the background. They barely gave her any screen time. It's like, okay, like, what's going on here? And then she became like one of the most fascinating people on the cast. Her strategy is just like, she was one step ahead of everyone, basically, it kind of felt like. And she, did a good job of getting a bunch of people out. And then she felt some guilt for it afterwards. So there was like some character development with her as well. It was just a beautiful story. And unfortunately, she didn't win, but she became like a fan favorite. So then anyways, the past season they just had, Joey, was Survivor season 50. Believe it or not, this show is still going on all these years later, since Richard Hatch won back in season 1.
Which is funny, because it's like, it hasn't been 50 years. That's the other thing. How many Survivors do they have a year?
They do about 2 a year. Yeah. So for season 50, they brought back all these legends, right? All these all-stars and whatever. And Genevieve was one of the people that they brought back. Again, the Winnipegger was one of the ones that they brought back for season 50. How cool was that? And she found not one, Joey. She found 2 hidden immunity idols. And if you don't know what an idol is, when you find an idol, you can play this thing at a tribal council, and that means you cannot be voted out, right? So all the votes that get cast for you, they do not count. And the thing is, you can keep your idol secret. Like, no one will know that you have it unless you tell people. And you can play it at the last second. It's like, oh my goodness, she has an idol. We can't vote her out. But anyways, this year they did a little twist. The idols were called the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idols. Billie Eilish Boomerang Idols. And I would need an hour to really explain what the hell that is. But basically, Genevieve found 2 of these idols, which is so freaking impressive. But this year they got cute, right? And they somehow got Billie Eilish involved. And they made the idols where if you found the idol, you can't keep it. You have to give it to someone else. And the only way you get the idol is if that person with the idol gets voted out without using the idol. So then it boomerangs back to you. So Genevieve got screwed, man. She found 2 idols, wasn't able to use either one, and she ended up getting voted out somewhat early on. So everyone, all this Survivor diehard fans, myself included, are like, what the hell? Genevieve has the worst luck ever. And there's a few other things that happened too. Because she was playing a great game. She had a great alliance. One of her key alliance members tore his Achilles, literally, on the 2nd or 3rd episode of the show. She had all these things going for her, but then all these bad luck things too. So anyways, long story short, Joey, Genevieve is an absolute legend. She's a proud Winnipegger. She's brought so many Survivor alum and castmates to Winnipeg several times for Jets games and whatever else. And on Sunday, Genevieve is going to be there at the game. Apparently, she's bringing a few castmates from Survivor 47, her original season, and then Omar from season 42 as well is coming, which is cool. But yeah, so that was Survivor talk. I understand that you probably sounded like I was talking in Mandarin, Joey, because you don't watch the show or whatever.
No idea what's going on.
But yeah, Genevieve's gonna be there, damn it. Now I'm gonna be in Ottawa. So I did bummed, but there you have it.
There, you got an applause for that one. No, if people think Target Time's confusing and watch Survivor, I don't know what you're doing, because that made no sense to me.
I tried my best. Neil Noonan will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Neil Noonan's
big Survivor guy.
He's probably just like bursting at the seams to get on the show so he could replace me to talk about this. But hopefully the Sea Bears don't get Billie Eilish boomeranged. I don't even know if that makes sense.
Oh, good one.
You know, hopefully there's no Billie Eilish boomerangs on Sunday. I'll put in a good word for Genevieve. I don't know if she does the English or the French, but if I see her, I'll say Taylor Allen, who you know from consistently watching Target Score podcast over and over. So she's a big fan of yours, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sure she'll be thrilled to know that you're sad not to be there. And I'm sure she's just as sad that you're not there. But we'll have fun in Ottawa. I love Ottawa, fun city. And yeah, game on tomorrow. So I'll do the pregame live tomorrow. So you can tune in. Just pay attention to socials at Target Score Pod, at Joey Slattery TV, at Taylor Allen 31, and we'll get the timeout for that pregame show. Get you set up for the game against Saskatoon before they go back to Calgary on Friday to take on the Surge, try to get some redemption in Calgary at Winsport Arena. And then they return home on Sunday to play the Montreal Alliance. Haven't had a chance to get much into that game. It's 3 games away. But just know Montreal's a fun team to watch. They've been having a bit of a miracle run, some would consider, this year. I wasn't that surprised. I've been on their wagon for a while, but yeah, it'll be a fun game for them to watch, for you to watch when they're in town. So enjoy those. We'll see you tomorrow on the pregame show. That's Taylor Allen. I'm Joey Slattery. Have a good. Well, you know what? I forgot to play the music. We got 10 seconds here. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Tay, have a good one, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, man.